Hey, congratulations for being part of Foodtastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So tell us, how exciting was being, contestants on the show?
I think being approached to be on this show was pretty much a dream come true. I mean, it's Disney, right? So it's everyone's dream to be part of the Disney family. And for us three to actually go on and get Star Wars, which is like one of the biggest things for Disney, and win is pretty insane.
I think for us as food artists, it's very fascinating to have someone reach out to you and say, hey, we recognize you, we recognize your skill. We really think that you would be a good addition to like Disney, which is like, so it felt really, at least for me personally, it felt really great. It felt like I'd really done something that people had started to recognize.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And for me, I'm just a home baker, so I don't even do this professionally by any means. And so that was just, unbelievable that I would even have an opportunity like this.
So how did your team actually get together? This team, was it called Carving Queens is what you called yourselves on the show? Because from my understanding, you're all from different states.
Yes. Well, now we are. Yeah, yes. Now we are. But before, I actually was contacted through a casting company on Instagram, and they were like, hey, can you put a team together? And I'm like, yeah, I could put a team together. And Jenna and I were actually teamed up in the summertime for another show that we didn't do, thankfully, because we want to be able to do this. So I was like, all right, Jenna, can you do it? And she was in El Segundo at the time, which wasn't too far from me. And then Annie was already picked as well, but she needed a team. So I kind of went on and stalked her a little bit and was like, oh, we got to have Annie because she does amazing stuff with bread. So then that's kind of how we started. We're like, what's the team name? So we came up with a lot of names. I'm like, well, let's just do Carving Queens. And they were like, that's it. They wanted it.
It was our homage to the queens of Disney.
Right?
Exactly.
Yep.
So how to create your your cooperation, your synergy, did you somehow like meet prior to the show, or did you basically winged it literally on the show?
Mel and I had met before, and we've gotten together before the show, but we hadn't met Annie, so we made sure obviously to do a lot of like Zooms and calls. But we also worked on a couple food things that were out of our own realm. They were out of the cake realm, they were out of the bread realm, and we put together a few just to see if we could do it. We carved together a few Disney-related food mini sculptures. I did a Mickey, I think Annie did something from Moana, and Mel you did something also Disney, right?
I did like watermelon and like yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, but we did those.
We did some practice.
Yeah. For practice.
So for practice and to like make sure what everyone could do on our team. And once we had done those, we were like, we got this. We're set.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was my first time meeting these two in person when we actually got on the set, but it really worked out well. I think we spent hours on calls and just getting to know each other. So it felt like I already knew them, when we finally got to meet.
Wow. And I was looking at a little bit of your background. So Annie is the only, I don't want to say professional, home baker. And and Melanie and Jenna, you folks actually have regular jobs, is it?
Well, I am actually a dental hygienist. I've been in dentistry for 16 years as a hygienist and 23 in dentistry. So I do that as well, but I do my cakes full-time professionally. So I do teeth for fun now and then cakes professionally.
I started in marketing, in online digital marketing actually, and I just loved to bake and loved the kitchen and was always in the kitchen, and realized that when I would have a stressful day at work, I would go straight to the kitchen when I got home, and I kind of just sat back one day and was like, why am I not doing this if this is the thing that makes me happy? So I just started doing more and more, and it kind of snowballed, and I ended up opening a bakery and had a bakery down in El Segundo for 4 or 5 years. We just recently moved to Nashville, and I'm putting together, stay tuned, everything that we will be doing here in Nashville. So we're working on getting that up and running, and right now I'm just kind of enjoying being a mom.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So tell me, what was it like to walk onto the set for the first time? I mean, that must have been amazing. And I'm going to take a wild guess. You probably didn't think Star Wars at the time.
Yeah. Amazing, like, I feel like doesn't even cut it. Like,
Yeah.
I've been on a couple sets before. When I walked onto this, it was mind-blowing. I mean, it was huge, and everything was over the top, like bigger in real life. And I was I just remember thinking, like, I can't wait for people to see this on TV because this is incredible.
It was beautiful. Yeah. It was beautiful. It was insane. It was a dream. Really.
Larger than life is basically the only way I can describe it. And then when we started seeing like stormtroopers come on set and like the R2 droids, that was just insane.
Yeah. You start feeling smaller and smaller and smaller. Being like, why me? I cannot believe I had a lot of confidence before going into this, but now I'm like,
Yeah, I was definitely like, I don't belong here.
Stop. I think when we all first heard Disney, right, is like princesses and, you know, underwater and Up and Lion King and everything that's just like big and magical and from the classic catalog. You don't immediately jump to Star Wars or Marvel or any of the new acquisitions that Disney has put together in their catalog. And we kind of all looked at each other when we heard Star Wars and we're like, oh, okay.
What are we going to build? Let's build something big.
We all looked at Annie.
Yeah, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so that was like the best thing I could possibly hear.
That is amazing. And I'm curious because sometimes we know that movie magic is a bit deceiving, but how big is that pantry? Is there a supermarket behind there?
I would like to have that pantry in my house.
Yeah, me too. Please.
Yeah.
It was definitely like a supermarket. I walked in there and I was like, for us people who work with food, we were just like, I want it all.
Everything, every color.
Yeah, every color I think was awesome.
Everything.
Every like detail they thought of. There were things in there that like gave us ideas where I was like, I didn't even think that was a thing that we could use. We were grabbing stuff that we didn't even think.
Every kind of vegetable and fruit that you could think of, things that you haven't seen before. And then the like hundreds of pounds of chocolate that we ended up using, that's insane.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Well, tell us how this, I think on the show you ladies called it the Sea Wing. Tell us how this actually got its birth, like this idea, and what other ideas did you come up with other ideas before the Sea Wing, or I know it's probably on the spot.
Yeah, I think we explored a few different options, but I think ultimately how we landed on the Sea Wing was we wanted to build something that looked really realistic and like it could belong in the actual Star Wars universe. And so we wanted to design something that, you know, it fit the story. It already had components from existing ships like the X-Wing and the Y-Wing. But we wanted to make it our own, obviously. And so, you know, with our carving queens, we wanted to be able to kind of put our stamp on that.
I think it was a little bit daunting when they said a ship, and, you know, bread maker, I'm a cake maker, Mel's a cake maker, and, you know, a dental hygienist. We're not engineers. Like, I don't know how to build a ship from scratch, and to build a ship that looks like it belongs in that space was very scary to me. And so I think that's why we decided to try and make a ship as if it was pieced together after the Battle of Endor and all these like parts fell on to the planet, and we just kind of put them all together. so that we could, one, pay homage to those ships that already existed and that whole, you know, series, but also make it something that wasn't necessarily brand new, but that was new to that world, but not too far out of our comfort zone, I guess.
Yeah, and we wanted to really make sure that it looked like a rebel ship as well. And so I think having those components from some of the really, you know, famous ships really helped that story.
Yeah, and definitely being from the first trilogy, I think was one of the big things too. So
yeah,
I think Annie was really great with that, with her knowledge, because it was a daunting task to figure out what we were going to build.
Yeah, I never thought I would be designing a Star Wars ship.
Yeah, Annie was like, okay, this is what it's gonna look like, and we're gonna build it.
She called out a lot of very specific components to other ships, like the open engines that we had in the back, the canopy that was at the top, that were very iconic to those ships, where when we put them on ours, you were gonna know that those were from those other ships.
So then basically you're fortunate that Annie was on board, who was a Star Wars encyclopedia set.
Yes.
Yeah. I was glad that I had seen the first three, but I was really glad that Annie knew a lot more than I did.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of cake knowledge, but I had Star Wars knowledge to share. So.
Yeah. I mean, I learned what a deflector shield was, so I mean, my life's complete.
That is great. And by the way, that ship is huge. You know, if it was a little bigger, you could probably just put a real human in there.
I mean, the watermelon cockpit, like the watermelon helmet that Annie made was, I would say, maybe like 80% to size. Like it was very close to being
pretty close to a real human helmet size.
Yeah.
I think all in all, we ended up around, what did we do, around 10 foot? Like
It
around
was 10 foot because we wanted to add in onto it while we were there. So yeah, 10 feet.
During this competition, was there any questions in your mind, like there were like kind of like regrets of decision making? Because I know there's like a lot of spontaneous pressure. Like I figured like when you were doing the gelatin for the pilot, that must have been I was thinking in my head, like, you ladies are going to regret that.
Yeah, that was definitely a big risk.
I mean, it was scary at first. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think it was gonna work, but I mean, there was a lot of praying to the cake gods.
There's a lot of things that we individually knew how to do, but the thing is, when you come onto a show like this, is you know how to do it at a scale that's like an 8-inch cake or a 10-inch cake. I mean, I think the biggest thing I ever created was 3 foot. So to go to something that's 10 foot, yeah, you might know how to work with gelatin, but when you're getting to a point when you're making something that big, that's where the, oh no, what have we done? Can we do this faster?
Yeah. If the ratio's off, it will be bad news.
Yeah. I had some moments of regret, I think, because I bake sourdough all the time at home, but you know, doing that on the set in a totally different environment, different temperature, like everything is out of your control. And also, again, making something that size. And so you feel confident, you know, that you know how to do these things, but then when you're actually put to the test and on this kind of environment, it's definitely a whole new challenge.
And I think one of the most challenging, or one of the things that we ended up changing the most, and I don't think it was a big portion of the show, but we had worked long and hard on how the structure would be underneath all of that food, because that's really like, if you don't have that, you're sunk. And so we really worked hard on how all the planes of the boards underneath the food would hold the weight, where the weight would be situated on those boards. And we ended up taking out a whole underneath section, 1, because of weight, and 2, because of time. And we just looked at that and we knew that it would help round out the ship on the bottom, but not enough that it was going to, that it would be a detriment to us. So we just kind of scrapped the whole bottom part of it. We had saws out there sawing off pieces of wood and taking chunks of this thing that had been built off. And we were like, just go, just go, just go. I think that was our biggest thing that we changed on the spot. the rest of it was kind of more of in what did we sign up for? How are we going to do this? This is absolutely huge.
Great. Well, let me wrap it up with one last question here. You ladies won, so you got those championship pins. Where are they now?
They're sitting on some of my fake cakes. That's where mine's sitting.
Our lovely Miss Mel gifted our whole team with the exact apron that we wore on the show. So I have my awesome purple tie-dyed apron, and my pin is attached to that apron, and it's
me too.
I love it.
That is great. Well, ladies, hey, thank you for sharing your story and your experiences on Disney's Foodtastic, and once again, congratulations for being Foodtastic champions. And thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Watch it if you haven't watched the whole season. It's awesome.
It is awesome. Everyone should check it out. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.